For the geeks in the audience, the exciting story was that Jerry Brown's budget leaked a day early. So, the media got a hold of it yesterday, and they had to push up Jerry Brown's presentation of his budget. It's all nonsense. But anyway, the headlines are kind of all over the place. Jerry Brown's budget plan proposes cautious spending, paying down debt. But I like the way the Associated Press put it. Their headline is, California budget surges to record high. Or at least the headline writer put that.
Jerry Brown is spending more money than ever. So you bozos who voted for Prop 30, that massive tax increase, it was not necessary. The spending increase probably exceeds the amount of extra money that they're getting. And it's an increase. So somehow, however we lived last year with state government, there must have been a lot of people suffering in agony because he added another 8% to it. Let's get
$107 billion in general fund spending in this proposal. It's nearly a 9% increase in spending over the last fiscal year.
John Kupal, president of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. How much of this massive spending increase was necessary?
Well, very little of it, quite frankly. And there's the problem with this budget is that we have a massive increase in spending, and as I think you just said, the Associated Press said it's the highest level of total and general fund spending ever in the history of California, is the problem that there are no reforms here. We were saying that the voters should not approve Prop 30 with its massive tax increases without significant reforms in education and pension and fiscal restraint, but there's none of that in here. And so what we have, and what you're going to hear is, you're going to hear from a lot of people that this is a very austere budget, and I guess from the perspective of liberal Democrats, it would be considered an austere budget, but from the perspective of common sense, this is a huge budget increase.
Well, yeah, and then the headline, and which paper ran that headline, that it's a cautious budget? What
that was the Sacramento Bee.
The Sacramento Bee, of course. The House organ.
With 3 different writers.
Yeah. So how do you get cautious spending about a nearly 9% increase and a record high amount of money being spent for a single year?
Yeah, and how do you call this a cautious or common sense budget when no additional revenues are going to pay down the extraordinary level of STRS unfunded liability? The STRS is the State Teacher Retirement Fund. And as one of the reporters asked him in the release this morning, what about STRS? Because a lot of people have written, including David Crane, who's a Democrat, who said, we need to start paying down STRS now. Otherwise,
that's the Teacher Pension Fund.
That's the Teacher Pension Fund. Otherwise, we are committing a criminal act on future generations. And there is some debt repayment in here, and congratulations, there's some debt repayment that's got to be done. But to totally ignore a significant unfunded liability, at the same time, you're granting new increases. This budget envisions new pay increases for state employees. So
What? Pay increases for state employees?
Sure. It recognizes that for some of the bargaining units, they've got to, quote, bring them up to parity, and we'll be getting 4% pay increases.
4%. So the whole Prop 30 tax increase was a scam. It wasn't necessary.
Yeah, that is true, because we could have ridden the wave of this economic recovery. And I think the economic recovery probably would have been a little bit faster had we not lost quite a few millionaires who moved out of the state of California. We still believe that the full impact of Prop 30's tax increases has not come to realization. I think we're going to have to look at how we do relative to other states, and we already know that we still have unemployment much, much higher than other states.
So the sales tax that was in Prop 30 is set to expire allegedly in a couple of years, and the humongous income tax increases on the wealthy are supposed to last 7 years. But there's already some politicians, including the state schools chief, Tom Torlakson, who are already calling for an extension of Prop 30 beyond its full expiration in 2018. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, well, we couldn't see this coming. Has there ever been a temporary tax increase? Maybe, but we knew that once they got this revenue, trying to take it away is extremely difficult. And, of course, you know the ads that they will be running when there is an effort to keep these. They say, well, it's what we're paying now. It's not a tax increase. It's what we're paying now. Well, you know, the whole thing about Prop 30 is it was sold to California voters as a temporary fix to get us out of the depths.
Well, people will forget that by 2018.
I think so. I think so. In fact, there were some focus groups that were just held just a few weeks ago, and people were asked about Prop 30, and people didn't even remember Prop 30 a few weeks ago, and so they will definitely forget about it by 2018.
It's really easy, isn't it? It's really easy. You go after the wealthy, which for some reason everyone hates successful people right now. You lie about where the money's going to go, claiming it's going for the children. Say it's temporary, and then 5 years later you could extend the tax because everyone's forgotten it existed.
That's right. And, of course, the best thing in this budget of all, the big laugher for us, is using the cap-and-trade revenue for high-speed rail.
Yeah.
That is using what we feel is an illegal tax to pay for an illegal train. And so I think that is where the governor, quite frankly, has some political vulnerabilities.
What do you think about a ballot initiative for some kind of rainy day fund? Do you guys have a take on that yet?
Well, first of all, having been involved way down in the weeds on drafting spending limits, I will tell you that to draft one that is really effective is difficult, and I can't imagine that the legislature would approve of any effective measure which limits their spending. I think it's obvious that any real spending restraint has got to come through the initiative process and won't be coming through the legislature. I think Jerry can say he wants one, but when push comes to shove, I don't think Darrell Steinberg and John Perez will let him go there.
Well, why does the media, because we were just playing little bits of a press conference, why do they idolize him so much?
Good question. You know, look, he smoked us in the Prop 30 campaign. You've got to hand it to him in terms of political skills. He's still, for his age, very fast on his feet. I think people like him. I do think some of the people in the business community like him because he's better than the socialists, the ultra-liberal legislators, and they view Jerry Brown as the backstop, which is kind of a sad commentary on the state of politics in the state of California. But I think there is this kind of, I wouldn't go so far as to say idol worship on the level of Obama, but I do think that whether we like it or not, Jerry Brown has a lot of respect in this town.
All right, John, thanks for talking to us again.
You bet. Take care, guys.
John Kupal, president
Lying works.
of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Well, a reporter,
if your fans approve of the lies, then the lies are good.
A reporter did ask Jerry Brown today, with all of these rosy budget numbers, revenues rolling in, possible big surpluses, did we need Prop 30 after all, which raised your sales tax and on a number of you your income taxes? We'll play how that went coming up.
John and Ken Show, John Cobell and Ken Shampoo.